Here we are online. I guess you have it. You have us. Hello, everybody. It is working, assuming it is working. Hello, we are here in Montpellier, south of France. We hope that our French-English accent will be all right for everybody. Here is Jocelyn, Sébastien. Tu nous as pas l'écran? Yes.
Can you see us?
Hello. Yeah.
Oh. Yes, we can see you.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's done. Great. So we are here and we are very pleased to have a word to say with on Tipton Training, which is famous program in England. And we are here talking for the Modjaw Digital Academy from the south of France in Montpellier. We will have this discussion around the 4D technology of Modjaw. In order to have this 1-hour lecture, we will go through a general discussion around Modjaw, then clinical cases, and at the end of those cases, we will have a demo. This demo had been done a month ago during the full COVID time in France. So it's a demo in the conditions of a live, and this is very important for you. I'd like to ask you, Jocelyn, if you can give us some more details about where we are and what we are doing here.
Thank you for everybody to be here in front of you. And as Sébastien said, we are very proud to be here today. We work in Montpellier, in the south of France, between Marseille and Toulouse. And we work in a clinical clinic for 2 years now, I think. We've got downstairs the clinic, and upstairs we've got also a lab to work with Modjaw data, for example. And also we usually do some education for dentists, of course, but also for lab technicians. We're going to talk about 4D dentistry, but maybe Sébastien, could you explain to us, what is really 4D? What does it mean really?
Well, 4D comes after 3D for sure. And as you know, in the space, 3D is the space. 3D would be all the recording in the space. The time, if you put time with 3D, it becomes 4D because you have the movement, you have the motion of the jaw in direct and as a record so that you can play it again, turn around, look around, and have the complete avatar of the patient on your computer. So this is to make a very quick resume about the 4D. We had the pleasure and the chance to work with Modjaw since a long time and beta testing this device since now more than 8 years. Our first publication was there in 2014 in Singapore, and the idea and the conclusion was no doubt that the second revolution of CAD/CAM is arriving. Assuming that the first revolution in CAD/CAM was 3D, the 4D is now. It was 6 years ago, revolution was arriving. We know that now we are completely inside this CAD/CAM revolution, and this is what we are going to show you. First thing, Joss, if I ask you, what is Modjaw for you?
Modjaw is very important for us, of course, in our daily practice, and we usually hear about 4D dentistry, but Modjaw in particular, if I want to resume with just one word, could be freedom. Because thanks to Modjaw, you can do whatever you want in your practice, in your office. And freedom is very important because you have to imagine, you have to use Modjaw with a lot of different exams, and you can do whatever you want. First for the diagnosis, we will see it after, but also when you want to export some data for the lab, for example. In our practice, we tried a different way to use Modjaw. Maybe could you see or could you show to us different way how we use Modjaw in our practice?
Freedom, because you can use Modjaw in any way you want. You can make any exercise. You can ask the patient to make any exercise you like. It's not regarding the kind of occlusion you want to work with. It is free to build as you do, but with Modjaw. You can go for a CR registration. You can go for chewing registration. You can make tongue movements, jaw movements for sure. You can even mix it with tense if you like. So you can keep the way you are working usually and implement this new device inside your exercise. And this is very important. It is fully open from the entrance and fully open for the export. And this is very important in this digital world. But it's more than this, it's a digital platform.
Yes, exactly. As Sebastian said, this is an avatar for the patient, for example, you can say that. Of course, this is not a virtual articulator. This is not, definitely not. And we will show you that after. When you want to use digital data, usually you take from intraoral scanners. You can also do some face scans. You can also take some STL files from your Beam also. And when you use to work with digital data, sometimes it's difficult to use them on only one way. And we would like to have only one software to use all of those data. Thanks to Modjaw, today we can do it. And as you can see here, we first use, of course, digital impressions. We also use digital face scans, but also, as you will see with you later, we can take a lot of data to do first the diagnosis, of course, and after also to do the aesthetic part of the treatment. We can add to merge the measures one and one, and we can remove the data also during the same exam. And this is so important for your diagnosis also, but of course for your treatment planning too.
Exactly. So you have this platform where you can play with it. It's, let's say, a PlayStation for digital measures. You can make your diagnoses, as you said, and then you can take action and decide what you will export to the lab. And the lab will be able to use all this information in order to streamline your treatments. As just said, you can mesh also the aesthetic proposition, whatever the diagnosis propositions inside the digital platform, and that means we use it also to expose the treatment plan to the patient, and this is very important. We have a tremendous device, but this device helps us also for the patient to go for the treatment, and this is really something important. Now,
I would like, Sebastian, to ask you a question maybe. What Modjaw brings to your practice, in your daily practice, I mean, in our office?
In our daily practice, Modjaw has changed a lot of things, and we mainly save time. We have more precision, more accuracy, but more than this, since we've been using this device for a long time, we could say it's not what Modjaw brings to my practice, it's how Modjaw did change completely our practice, because now we are going we save so much time. Many cases that were complicated turn easy, and we don't feel this again. We don't feel those complex cases again, and this is a part of the discussion we will have just now. But another part of it is, for what kind of practice is it devoted? That's the question for you. Is it for only specialists, or is it for everybody?
In our daily practice, of course, Sebastian and me, we used to work with a lot of patients, and we usually work with Modjaw first for prosthodontics, of course, treatments. And for us, it's very important to use Modjaw to save time, to be more accurate, etc. But also, you can use Modjaw even if you are
for joint dysfunctions. So it is a great tool for joint dysfunction and occlusal specialists, and it's a great tool for daily prosto. And this is what we want to show just now. But just before, we have to have an introduction about the digital world in general. When do you use Modjaw, Joss?
First, as we'll see with you just later, the diagnostic, of course, is very important, and the treatment planning. And as Sebastian said, you will be able to use Modjaw for this part of the treatment for sure. For surgeries, it could be difficult for you to understand why we could use Modjaw, but thanks to Modjaw's data, of course, you will be able to place the teeth. And before placing implants in the mouth of the patient, of course, you have to know where you want to place teeth. And thanks to Modjaw, you will be more precise when you want to place teeth, and then you place implants too, of course. Then to do some recordings during your treatment is very important, because you will take a lot of, you will win a lot, save time thanks to Modjaw, and be more precise, more accurate thanks to Modjaw during your recordings. And because this is an open system, you will be able to export those data to the lab and to create and integrate the new restorations in the mouth of your patients. So we can say that Modjaw, thanks to Modjaw, we can use this new device during all the digital loop.
Yeah, it was the closing of the gap for the digital loop was the function. And now the gap of the digital loop is closed because the 4D is here. Now, when we work on with digital in general in dentistry, it is always the same kind of exchanges that goes from the lab to the clinic and the clinic to the lab, and also from the virtual to real. And you really have to understand those movements and make them easy. Streamline your workflows. We won't have time to talk about this now for sure, but it does streamline your workflow. There is 3 points we do expect from digital technologies. Can you give us some information on this?
When you want to buy a new technology, digital one, you have to be conscious about, what about the picture? Is it okay for you?
Okay.
Yeah, it looks good. Okay. Before buying something special, something new, you have to remember that, of course, you have to save time to be more precise and more accurate. And for you, for your team, and also for the patient, you have to earn some comfort during the treatment. And this is what we will show to you with different clinical cases for the 3 parts of the different how we use Modjaw.
Yeah, so let's see, first of all, with accuracy, how does the use of this device gives us more accuracy to deliver to our patient. Let's go straight to the point. It is about an anterior guidance. I think we have an image problem because I see something is jumping here. Do you have it on the screen also?
Yes, it's just black at the moment. Jumping.
Because we didn't just touch anything.
Non, c'est l'HDMI, c'est pas ta...
C'est ça. So give us a few seconds to set this technical issue. So the idea is that as you have the motion of the jaw, and as you can decide and create anything on it and send it to the lab, then the lab will be able to use the good designs in order to fix any problems.
Is it okay for you for the picture?
This problem is fixed now. It's
yes.
Great. Thank you. So we were here having an example of how it gives you accuracy using this kind of digital technologies. When it comes to create a new aesthetic outcome, and it is also an anterior guidance for sure, let's go for those prostheses. On the buccal side, we have the layering of the ceramic, but on the palatal side, we will have the full zirconia milling. And the idea here is to have the anterior guidance well done by the lab just in one time, so that you will save your time and you will give more comfort for the patient. So it is one example of how it works on a daily basis. But let's go and let's begin with something very simple as a routine in a 4D daily dentistry. To illustrate comfort, accuracy, and time saving, let's go now deep inside. How could we do to use functional information and use also the layering of the ceramic? This is something we like. It is to show that digital and analog way are not opposed to one to another. You can use the best of the two parts of our beautiful job. So let's go for very simple single crowns. You go for a digital intraoral scanner if you like. You register this, and the fact is, when you have been implementing the 4D inside your clinic, then you better have recorded the Modjaw at the beginning of the consultation of the patient, so that once you have the occlusion from the first time, you don't have to re-register the occlusion of the patient for the rest of the process with the patient. I'm just waiting for the image to come back, and looks like there's something here. Tu tentais ça? Okay. N'empêche. Wow. Well, very sorry. It is something bizarre going on here.
Tu veux que j'aille prendre le HDMI en bas? Non, mais c'est le câble HDMI qui bug là. Donc si.
Quelle prise?
Grise?
Dans mon ordi?
J'en ai une, moi. Just a minute.
Ah, là, c'est reparti. So let's see. So the idea is to make an avatar of the patient before you go for the treatment, so that you can make your diagnosis in general. Means that you have been recording, and this is the patient chewing apple. Patient is chewing apple before you begin the treatment, and so that you will make your diagnosis. If the patient is judged healthy, then you will design your crowns to be inside the functional envelope of the patient, okay? And if you want to go back to analog word in general, you can register functional information in a static mesh. This was called the FGP, the functional generated path in 68 by Mayer. And this is one of the features the 4D of Modjaw gives you. It has a lot of other options, but one of them is this one. It is called a functional generated surface. It is this surface that resumes the whole movement. So when you go back from virtual to real, then you can give the lab, the technician, the ceramist, the upper is printed. You could have it for the lowers also, so that he can go for a layering technique. You can even, for sure, go for a monolithic crown, but if you want to go for layering, it is possible. And we show this case, this simple case, because we have many questions about this. It is very easy to print a model with the FGS, okay? So this is what the lab has, and the lab now can design and layer the ceramic. The information is inside the movements. This is how you keep the benefits of the layering, but you still have the benefits from the digital world in general. So if you go back in the clinic, you will be able to put your distal buccal cuspide just a bit lower than the plane, which is the entry of the masticatory circle and chewing patterns. This is very important. In that way, we are giving comfort to our patient. We are delivering a better prosthesis to the patient. This is in a static way. On the right excursion, you will use all the space possible, but with no interference, and this is very important. And you can see here, as we have just put the two crowns, 26, 36 on the first day, very first day, without touching anything. Okay, occlusion is easily done and in a good way. This is an example of a daily use of Modjaw in a single simple practice. Jocelyn, I think you want to explain us something more global for a complex case.
Yes, how transform a complex case in a simple one, thanks to Modjaw. For example, this case with some erosions in oral mouth. As usually, we do a first digital assessment. Thank you, Sam. With some X-ray, with some pictures, of course. We do also intraoral scanners and something special for perio if we have something to register. As we will see, once after doing the aesthetic part of the treatment, once the incisal edge lengthening has been clinically tested by the patient and also by the team, the first decision of the need and the amount of the OVD change can be made thanks to Modjaw's data. And of course, you are able to increase the OVD very precisely with a lot of accuracy thanks to Modjaw's. And this is very important in, for example, this case, because you have to be very cool in your mind. I mean, to be sure not to do some mistakes in this case to avoid any problems on the veneers, for example. At the end, we do also a complete digital assessment with the aesthetic part of the treatment, with aesthetic planification, with a mock-up also to validate the aesthetic part of the treatment. We do a 4D reanimation, and then we have to do the therapeutic choice if we have to increase the OVD or not. In this case, we did it, of course. We haven't any dysfunction, and thus on this case, that's why we did directly some final restorations. Yes, with bonding some overlays, bonding also some veneers, lower and upper jaw. And in this case, here is the result if you want. We save time, of course. We have a lot of comfort for the patient, but also for the team. And of course, we were very accurate thanks to Modjaw's data.
So as I have a question,
yes.
You mean that because you have all the movements in your hand, or you can send it to the lab, you are able to make those huge cusps?
Yes. I mean, thanks to Modjaw's data, it's very important to understand that. You are able to register all the envelope of function of the patient. And we want to use all displays, not too flat if you want, but just the right part of the envelope of function. And when you have to do some aesthetic treatment, of course, you have to be very careful on the part of the cusp on the posterior teeth, but also to avoid any cracks or any difficulties on the
mechanical
veneers.
difficulties.
Exactly.
So, and this gives all this. Thank you, Jocelyn, to have this large case. Usually you talk about it for half an hour and you have it here in 4 slides, okay? Because we want to go straight to the point.
Yes, maybe could we add that on fieldformation.com, we can see all of those cases, of course.
Yes, in detail.
Yes,
in detail to understand everything. Continuing to digital technologies, and we have, as we said, accuracy, comfort, time saving, and let's see how much time saving we can have on something simple as a splints. We have many questions usually about how do you use this technology to create splints, and many times the splints are the beginning of the treatments. So let's go for it. A patient coming for this, referred for this, with different kinds of problem. What we do usually is that because we have the device in the clinic, we can explain to the patient as a marketing tool, let's say like this, explaining to the patient, okay, this could be you, and with this kind of device, we will do our diagnosis. We will make a diagnosis, and then we will take action to treat you. And this is something very important just at the first rendezvous to explain to the patient. And then when we use to go for the treatment, this is how is built our consultations for a splint creation treatments in general. Our first consultation is always 40 minutes, regardless of the questions the patient is coming for. And then we give him the quote of the treatment. We go for the 4D Modjaw session, will last 40 minutes. If we don't have already the prints of the impressions of the jaw of the patient, the teeth, then we will, in 40 minutes, go for the intraoral scanner and the Modjaw. If we already have it, it is 30 minutes. And then we go for the treatment. Okay, so let's see, in this 40 minutes, we go for the Modjaw, and you will have the demo in about 5 minutes. We go for the Modjaw. At the end of the Modjaw, we go directly to the analyze of the Modjaw with the patient looking at the screen, together with the patient, in order to make up our minds. In most of the cases, if they are simple cases, we can give explanations to the patient. And what is good and nice, it is that you can come back to these recordings later on if you like. Then you go to find a jaw position. If you were going for a centric relation, you will be able to criticize your manipulation. And this makes you very humble with your manipulations in general. You will criticize your manipulations and choose the good parts when the jaw is moving where you think it is a CR, a correct CR. Then you make a stop and you can export this to the lab. So this is how we will do to create a splint, so that the lab will receive directly the two jaw recordings in a good position. Let's say if you go for a jaw repositioning, you are not going for a CR manipulation and you want to center the jaw. You make an exercise to the patient, move here on this position. You will have it recorded on your screen and you will be able to decide whether, okay, this is the position I want to try as a therapeutic position and I want to build my splint in this position. I will export this position directly to the lab. The lab will be able to use this import in any kind of software because it is static. And then if you want to export the movement, you will have to, the lab will have to use Exocad. But for the static position of the jaw and many other features, they can use whatever the software they use usually. Then going back to the clinic, the splint arrives, you put it inside the mouth of the patient, and this is where it is time saving. You don't want to spend too much time grinding your splints. For those who do this, usually you know that it is time consuming and you put, and it's quite dirty also. We used to have before 40 minutes to, evaluate the splints and put it inside the mouth. And now it is 20 minutes because when you put it inside, the raising of the jaw had been done in a good way. So you have less corrections to make. And this is very important. That was an example of creating splints. You can do splints on the lower, the upper, in 2 parts, 1 part, whatever. You are free to use the informations, the real informations of your patients directly to the lab. I have here a questions for you and you guys there. Are we going, do you want to go directly now for the demo or do you want to see another complex case? Let's go for the demo. Just now, what we will do is that we will have the demo. This demo, we did register it 1 month ago in a live condition for sure. And after this, we come back here and we'll have all the questions possible. Okay? Ils sont plus là.
Here we are. Yes, so here the digital room of the clinic. Let's see how we use Modjaw exam in a daily practice at field dental. So it is a very specific moment because we are in those COVID times. No assistant here for sure. So Joss will show you how to make a Modjaw on your own. You can do this Modjaw alone. Yes. Usually, how long does it take? Between 30 40 minutes. It depends on the data of the patient. Today we have them, so we will see how we manage them. And it should take about 30-35 minutes because we will spend a lot of time to explain how we export, how we save the data of Modjaw exam.
So two parts, the hands-on,
yes,
and then the exploration of the device. But first of all, we could see the material and the tub and the organization.
What do we need for Modjaw exam? First, we need the tiara. And as you can see here, there are 4 points. We'll talk about them later. This is Tally, hello Tally. Also, we can see some points. And this is the butterfly. The butterfly will be placed with the mandible thanks to the fork. The fork is a plastic one, and you have to place it just in front of the mandible. To fix the fork, we usually use some bicycle resin. Here is structure from Voco, for example. And Sebastian and me, we usually take Optrogate to make a better exam. And this is for the end of the exam, just a little surprise. We used to work with a normal neural, and you don't need anything special for this exam.
Okay, yes, you need a patient. So
Yeah.
you need a patient, I'll be the patient.
Exactly.
So I will shut my mouth and be the patient. But I think, do you have the apple for the chewing?
Yes, could be interesting to.
Could be interesting. So
sharing part.
may I get an apple?
Okay, perfect.
I'm coming back.
So maybe could we take just 1-2 minutes to see the video and the camera here? This is a camera, very precise camera, and this is a screen. So first you have to take the digital data from the patient, of course, and to place the data inside the computer. Then we have to place points, as we can see just later. I will already see just later. We will place points on the computer and the same points in the mouth of the patient. So here is the maxilla and here is the mandible. We have to start the exam, and then we have to place 5 points. 4 here, left, right, back, and front, and a 5th one, which is the dentally in between the 2 central incisors. So as you can see, you have to place some different points.
May I?
Yes, please. Thank you. You have to place, and you can zoom and see different place. Usually we take some concave points. Here, for example, this one. So place, please, 1 point. Maybe Sebastian, you can explain if you want. Okay.
So you need to put the points where you will be able to show them and to place tally on them. This situation, you can do it before. If you want to have a session shorter, then you can delegate this to your assistants. There are different kinds of Modjaws in the practice. It could be the first Modjaw where we take time with the patient. That's the pre-op Modjaw, let's say. But then sometimes when you are in between your current normal treatments. You want to make Modjaws very fastly, and you can do this within 20 minutes with a trained team. Thanks to the team. Hello, the team, because I think they are looking.
Here is the fifth point.
Just in the middle of the central of the lower incisives.
Okay. Then we have to take Tally and the tiara in front of the camera to place the tiara in the space if you want.
So that's the calibration of the device. Je pense qu'il ne te voit pas. Tu veux t'avancer un peu? You have it on the screen? Okay. This is it. So basically, you could be arriving in the room in 5 minutes. Your assistant is doing this.
So we have to follow the instruction here. First, to fix the fork, we will do later. Then to place the butterfly, and here we will start placing the tiara. Be careful with the hair of the patient. Thank you, Sebastian, for
yes. You really need a bald patient. Your patient has to shave. This is mandatory.
And be careful. This tiara shouldn't move during the exam. Okay, be careful about that. And we can see here the 4 points just in front of the camera. Then we have to place the fork in the mouth now. This is maybe just little part of the exam. You have to do it yourself. Could be just a little more time. It depends on the patient, of course.
And this is where you will have questions about class 2 or edentulous patients. We will have answers for those kind of situations.
To facilitate this part of the exam, as we said, we use Obtrugate. Ok, je n'ai pas pris la spi, je n'ai pas allumé non plus le compresseur. Tu vas faire la spi, d'accord? Okay, you can close if you want. Okay. Here is the fork, okay? If you want, you can cut the end of the fork. Doesn't matter if the mouth is too big. So usually the assistants, of course, can help you. And we have to place resin on the fork.
You cannot switch with this. Have you ever tried to switch with an Obtrugate?
There is a game in France, Modjaw. Each word, we can say, you have to speak with like something like Obtrugate. It's very funny. So we place the fork and the resin. The assistant usually can add some resin with the fork. Of course, here it's not possible. So we're going to do this part in 2 parts. We have to wait. I'm going to add some resin in 1 minute, maybe. bouge surtout pas. Because after, we will have to place the butterfly on the fork. The question is it painful for the patient? No, not at all. This is just resin. We just have to be careful with patients who had a periodontal disease, for example, with black holes between the teeth. Be careful not to place resin between two teeth, of course, because after, to remove the fork, it could be more difficult if you placed resin between teeth. But in this case, thanks to Sebastian, we don't have any periodontal disease. So I think it would be easier to remove the fork. Then we have now to place the butterfly. You just have to follow what is written on the screen. Be careful when you want to place the butterfly, because if you press too much on the fork, you could remove it. Here it is.
Great.
Of course, you have to be careful to place, it's okay, the fork, and to avoid any contact with the resin between teeth.
Yeah, you can ask the patient to tell you if it's all right for his occlusion, there's nothing interfering. Hey, I can speak more now.
It's okay.
No.
So you have to place the camera in front of the patient, and once more it will be written on the screen. So the distance is about 0.8 meter.
Yeah, sure.
And then we have to place different points on the face of the patient. The left condyle first, can open, close, open. Okay. And point under the nose. Be careful not to hide the tiara, for example. Okay. Open, open. And the right condyle. Right. And then we have to place the points that we have done before, placed before, in the mouth. Ok, attends. Ok, c'est bon. Distal de 4. Ok. Mésial de 4. Thank you for the patient. Usually it's the assistant who check the screen, of course. Okay. And last point. Okay. Un peu au-dessus. Okay. You can close now. C'est bon, ferme bien. Perfect. So, what is important on the screen here? You have three possibilities on the screen. A green point, that means that everything is perfect. The accuracy of the exam is perfect, and you can, of course, do the exam. Orange point, like here, what does it mean? It means that it's okay to do the exam, no problem. You have enough accuracy. However, you could add some data to gain some accuracy for the exam. But in this case, it's okay. Sometimes we can see a red point. What does it mean? It means you're not allowed to do the exam. You have to add some different data. Okay, but today it's all right, no problem, we can go on. And here you can see the patient who is opening his mouth. Okay, so now this is important. You have to do a lot of, you can do a lot of different exams. And what we said just before is Modjaw is freedom. It's very important. You can do whatever you want. You can imagine a lot of different exams. Of course, you will see we've got on the screen a lot of exams, open, close, centric relation, whatever you want. But what is important is freedom. You do what you need, you do what you want to register, okay? So let's start. The first exam usually is open, close, because the patient, when you want to tell him, do please protrusion, he won't be able to understand anything. So open, close, it's okay for everybody. Something is important is, okay, to start, we close the mouth and come on. Yes, open, close, perfect. How long does it take? How long do we, this exam? Usually about 20, 25, maybe 30 seconds. It depends what you need. For showing, for example, we will say it, maybe it's better to have a longer exam, but open, close, maybe it could be just 20, 25 seconds, okay? Something important. Usually the patient has to be in front of the camera. It's very important because if the patient is not in front of the camera, the exam will be wrong. So you have to show to the patient what he needs to do. And then please, if you want for the first time, place yourself behind the camera and the patient can see what he has to do, okay? Another one is the diction. Right, for example, close the mouth and okay. We will see after, Sebastian will explain to you after what we are able to see on the screen. What does it mean? A lot of different things on the left part, on the right part too. This is the second part of the exam is about communication for the patients too. Okay? You see the canine here? Good one. Okay, of course, the same thing for the left part. So here, the patient, I don't know why, understand everything I tell, so I asked. Of course, it's very different if the patient is a normal patient and is not able to do perfectly the movement I want to register. Okay, you can see a lot of different things. Okay, what about protrusion now, please? Close, important, close the mouth before starting the exam. Okay? This is really interesting after this exam to explain to the patient, and you will see the computer, the Modjaw software is very intuitive, and you can find a lot of different things on the screen. It's very, very interesting, even for the patient. Okay. Yes, Kizzy maybe. Cortic arc. So right, left, and protrusion. Okay, close the mouth. Perfect. Start in front. Okay. Okay, good. About 20, 25 seconds in this exam. It's very important before exporting those data for the lab. We'll show you later. Okay. You can check also your centric relation if you want. Depends on what you used to do for your prosthetic treatment. In this case, for example, you do centric relation. So first, we can just check it before registering it. Okay, close the mouth, please. Okay. Okay. Swelling. Swelling is very important if you want to see something special. That's why we used to take some water before doing it down. Okay. Right part and left part. Close the mouth first, okay. It's sometimes difficult, of course, to swell with the butterfly and the fork. Okay. 3, 4. Okay. And of course, last but not least, could be sharing.
What about a local function? No.
So, as Sebastian told you, we used to show with apple.
C'est une connerie. Ok, tu fais investigation?
Yes.
Je voulais montrer.
Close the mouth. Okay. Okay. Left, right. Could be longer for this exam to be sure to see what you want to see. After we will see you, we will show you, you can export what you want. Last one. Is the apple good, Sebastian?
Yeah.
It's okay, Wasim? You hear us? Okay. Perfect. Sebastian, do you want to add something?
We could make a parcel, so
Okay.
limit envelope. C'est des mouvements du bas.
Ouais.
Bon, limite horizontal.
Okay. Perfect. You can start it. Okay. We'll talk about that just after. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's okay for this first part, and let's see how we can remove easily the fork. Here it is.
Easy.
Sometimes, I admit, it could be just a little bit more difficult, but not in this case.
It was an easy one. Thank you, Jos.
Pleasure.
Wow. Easy demo.
It was good. So maybe Sebastian could be now see what we see on the screen and
how can we use
it.
Yeah, so how could we use all those informations? Well, as we said, you will be able to take out in a model, going back to it and replay what you have been registering. So let's say I will begin with this one, opening, closing. On the upper screen there, you can see the movements of the condyles. Thanks to it's a translation between the butterfly and the point where he did point out where was my TMG. And you can see this in different situations in the space, sagittal, axial, or horizontal, or frontal. So you could see in any kind of plan where is going your TMG. What is interesting for me is that, look, when I am opening, I've got one condyle going down very much with more distance than the other one. And I'm going on the left side. And this is, as you can see here, well, I know my situation for sure, but I have this lingual dyspraxy. And my occlusal plane, frontal plane is not symmetric, right? Then
I see that.
I have, if I look at my Gizi arc, which is the excursions inside just one movement, the three of them, right? I will see that I don't have the same angles there for my excursions.
1 square is 1 millimeter. So you can see the angle here and this one here.
So I have a very strong canine on the side and a softer one. That means I am chewing mostly on the left side. We'll see how to make all those exports and use everything. Let's see the centric relation. So it was, yeah, just did it very quickly. In a normal way, maybe it would have taken more time, but whatever. We can see here the movement, then you could make appear the contact points. So once you have the contact points, you can replay it. You will decide whether your condyles are turning on themselves, right? Criticize your manipulation. You could crop the movements and decide, okay, I will use only this part of the movement because I think it is relevant. And then I would like to see the contact points. And I can go frame by frame when I can replay it, and on my closing path, I would like to see, okay, prematurity is there. So, okay, I've got both sides. The first contact points. When I'm approaching the arches. Let's go back to see the excursions. So here we are playing with the jaw of the patient. This view, I love this view because you can just see exactly inside the mouth of the patient. And I can see here the angles. So let's say this is an electronic axiograph, right? So I've got my Bennett angle there. If I go for the left one, replay everything, I've got the other Bennett angle. And if I go for my protrusion, I'll have les pentes condyliennes. I forgot the name in English.
Condylar slots.
The slots, yes, thanks. So I've got all this information in order to program a virtual articulator. As we saw, we don't use them all the time. You don't need them if you can reuse the function of the patient. Let's say that we have decided to keep this function and to get in our reconstructions inside this envelope of function. I could use the mastication of the patient, the chewing of the patient. By the way, those little slices of apple are the good thing to chew. That was published by Lundin and Gibbs in the 80s. We know that we need something to chew that resumes the chewability, let's say, of all the thing we put in our mouth. So here I have my chewing cycles. And same thing, I can crop my consultation and decide whether, okay, here I'm on the right side and I think if after examination, I could decide that this one is interesting for me, this movement, because I want to select exactly the good information for the lab. I don't want to send to the lab the whole thing. I could do it.
You could do it. Exactly.
I could do it. If I don't want to make my own decisions, I could send the whole consultation to the lab. It will take more time on the lab. If you want to have the hand on it, then you will select the exact information you will export to the lab. So for this, let's say the whole mastication consultation, the chewing, I can crop it here. I can crop it here, makes two of them. On the first one, I will select this movement, the entry of the chewing cycle, this movement here, and I will export to the lab this movement on the right side. Then on the other one, I'll go for the left side. And I will select, same thing, the movement on the left side, right? So once I've done my decisions there on the movement, you see my movement on the left side is very vertical, more than the other side, okay. I can decide whether I want to export also the Gothic arch, so that the lab will have all the excursions, left, right, and protrusion. This is my protrusion, and the other one, okay. Then I could export also the centric, and then I will decide whether I can export the complete Modjaw exam, the cinematic, the motion, and choose what I decided, the Gothic arch, the CR. Oh, we have to talk about deglutition with swallowing and the mastications. Okay, so I will decide whether I export this, this, or this. Let's finish with the discussion about, we saw the contact points. We have to see, we could see the FGS, which is an adaptation of the FGP. You have your chewing. This is the chewing of the patient, right? Okay. Mainly on the left side. You want to export this, and you want to see the FGS. The computer will build a surface which is the resume of all the motion of the entry cycles. And this will be very useful in the lab to build the ceramics, because you will be able to print like a model the functional path, so that the lab will be able to use it in an analogic way. Whether you want to go back in the lab with a digital workflow, you could also want to build your crowns with an analogic way, meaning you are building with your ceramic. And for this, you will use this envelope here. Let's take this one out and have it. So as you can see here, this is the resume of all the movements of the jaw, right?
The envelope.
The envelope. Functional generated path, as we saw in the lecture. So now there are many other features inside the software. Takes a bit of time to explain everything, but the idea is that you have the hand on the motion of the patient. You can take your own decisions, make your decisions, and export this to the lab.
Export and communicate with the patient.
And communicate with the patient, exactly.
It's very, very important, and it's powerful, because the patient hasn't seen before how he can eat or how he can swallow, whatever.
Yeah.
Very important to talk with him about
the patient understands what's going on inside his mouth. So, as we said, we use also Modjaw as a digital platform to explain our treatment plan. And this is very important.
Perfect. See you for the questions, maybe?
Yeah, so we go back upstairs for the questions. Give us 2 minutes. Thanks.
So here we are. It's not 2 minutes because it was, as you understood, you have understood, we have been registering this 1 month ago. You can see it to my hair.
1 month, okay.
We hope that this lecture and this demo gave you many ideas, many solutions, and we expect that maybe you have questions. Hello there.
Can you hear us?
Yet we don't have your sound. We don't hear you.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Let me have a look and see. Oh, so there's one question in the questions which says, hi, whereabouts in France are you based? I missed the first part of the webinar, and do you guys have an academy?
Yes, so you can see it on our back. You can take us out. We are based in Montpellier, which is south of France. And in this image, you have the clinic on the lower part and you have the lab on the upper part. The idea is that you have a complete structure, a complete 4D hub for Modjaw, so that you can see in live, in direct, the treatment of the patient. It is built inside the clinic and we have live sessions. We had people from all Europe, even Chinese people coming here to see Modjaw. So you are very welcome to organize something here with Modjaw Academy in Montpellier and Emotion Lab, yes.
Emotion Lab is a digital lab, and Elodie and Rosine are here, and they used to work with Modjaw's data and to do what we call Modjaw, I mean, for different designs used with Modjaw's data.
So the idea is that we take real patients for the real clinic, because we don't stop the clinic during those sessions that they last 2 days. You make the designs, you participate to the decisions, and you see the treatments. Some treatments are from the beginning, some treatments are in the middle of the treatments, and others are at the end. That makes you directly inside the 4D hub.
Oh, fantastic, guys. And there's not any more questions at the moment, but I'm guessing if they've got any more, they can email them over, and if I get any, I will send them over to you guys.
Exactly. So if you want more information on our part, you can go to feelformation.com. You will have those kinds of images and videos. You ask Modjaw everything you like, and we will be glad to answer questions. Yeah. See you. Great pleasure being with you in England.
Yeah, brilliant. Really interesting webinar. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.